So I just wonder when this is going to happen. I think about someone like me and, do I forgive the person that raped me and beat me up and called me names? No, I don't forgive him. I don't, and I don't think that I should, but that is not poisoning me. I think I'm pretty generous, actually. He has a daughter, and, you know, that relationship is important. Can I do anything? I don't know. I mean, have I thought about it enough? What could I do? I can talk about it. But what makes me so unhappy is that I guess people just don't take it seriously. I think it's possible to believe a survivor, to respect a survivor, to care about a survivor, and also not to completely condemn the person that did that. But I mean, a person could. But what I am saying is that I think more often what people want to do is ignore survivors and blame victims, and it hurts. It hurts and it's real harmful, and that's going on in the big picture. And you know, uh, how much of a problem has it? If I think about this, I mean, even as a survivor, volunteering with rape crisis, I felt dismissed. So yeah, I mean, I guess sometimes people use this where they can. And I most or all of my friends are survivors. People might not talk about it. Well, why am I talking about it? Because how do I put this? I mean, I could pull a Johnny Cash, I guess, something like a Johnny Cash and say, I mean, people better start having respect. Can I do anything if people don't know? I can't. I can just keep on. You know, uh, it is a real bad feeling. And, I make a donation every month to my client who is abused. Well, I mean, I have more than one client who's abused, yeah, I mean, it's real common, but I have one in particular who lives with her parents still and they're abusive. And it's only like $5 a month. And, am I feeling anything she's feeling right now? I mean, I don't know. It's really frustrating to me when people don't believe a person, don't have respect for a person, and don't care. And I mean, what comes to mind is that what I'm going to describe as an egregious thing that was communicated to me after I invited someone for holidays a couple of years ago, because the previous year it sounded like had been a real bad year. Well, I think I gave him a real benefit of the doubt and should not have. Why is that? Well, I was really hoping we could work together to try to help keep people safe because of what's going on now, because I had to move states and I couldn't continue doing what I was doing. And I guess what I learned after over 6 years is that that's not someone I would ever want to know. That's not ever someone I would even want to meet in person. And that's a male where I probably had too much sympathy. I probably so. If I think about being raped as being beaten up, I have said this before, being beaten up with a dick. Well, it was also being beaten up and beaten up like that. Well, I mean, that can be even more serious, and I don't want to go into all the different particulars, but it was serious. And I just think about, I mean, clearly, if we want to talk about these ideas about the greatest good, sure, some of us here sacrifice ourselves. No, I don't fucking think so. I mean, when people enlist in the military or are forced to do that, that's kind of what's going on. Kind of, that is not why humans are here. And I refuse to be another statistic, another dead female. I managed to survive that. I have learned the past several years that it doesn't mean that it couldn't happen again. And part of the reason that it could is because those attitudes are so bad out there. People really get poisoned by those attitudes without even knowing it. But yeah, when are people going to start to listen? when are people going to start to understand it's real serious, real serious? And yeah, I mean, any kind of any kind of violence is, and domestic violence without sexual assault is very serious. It's real serious. Domestic violence with sexual assault is, I mean, I'm just so disappointed. I know there are people out there. I mean, like I said, most or all of my friends are survivors. Most of my friends have children. I don't know too many people that don't really when it comes down to it. And why is that? I mean, because I guess so many people have children, and I don't understand because that was never me. But being pushed to the side and with that experience in my past, that feels real bad. That really feels like stigma from that. And I'm going to ask what needs to happen. Really, what needs to happen. Harm does not teach a person anything, but I think about when a person doesn't believe, wants to blame the victim. I mean, a person does not need to go through it. I am going to say that. That there are plenty of us, pushed to the margins, not believed, and we're people who are there for people. Is that the way it happens? No, maybe sometimes, not always. But yeah, I mean, do I define myself as a survivor? No, I'm a person. But that, has it left scars on my life? Well, I mean, I do have some scars. You know, what has it done? What I was put through after that helped me be there for someone that had been through something similar to what I was put through, that is also real serious. And then I was used. So, yeah, the way that I see it is, he used what happened to me. He used what happened to me to get what he has. And I don't think that's at all a twisted way to think about that. We think about, you can break things down sometimes. Victims are not to blame. Victims are not to blame. And what do we have coming up? In early October, an anniversary that's coming up. Anniversary, that's not a good word. I don't know what it's going to take to help people learn that rape is not acceptable and that people should have respect for survivors and that victims should not be blamed and we should not have to be as strong as we often are. I think about writing to the violent ex, and I've talked about it plenty. Wait, was that 3 years ago? Yeah, was it 2023 that happened? Are we coming up on a 3-year anniversary, a two year anniversary of the flood? All right, so yeah, what I'm talking about was overseas. Writing to that violent ex, going on 2 years ago after, waking up and having concerns about young people in overdose, and and him being the same nasty human that he was decades ago. And I mean, I guess people just, he plays music, he might, he's told me, last year when he wrote to me to ask why I had written to him that he smoking pot again. So, maybe he's selling it too. You never know. Yeah. Popular. It really takes a lot of patience living like this, waiting for people to learn, waiting for people to get a clue. And I know I'm not the only person living like this. Every day, how many hundreds of people end up in the emergency room after rape? Is it 100? How it's a lot. It's a lot. There was one time that I was on call for rape crisis, and I saw 3 people in the ER that night. 3, including a child. So yeah, I mean, until it happens to you is kind of what goes through my mind. Stranger assault from a stranger or strangers, that is extremely horrific. It is bad enough when it is someone you know. When it is strangers or a stranger, I mean, that is over the top horrific. And again, that doesn't teach a person anything, and thinking like that is blaming the victim. But what is it going to take? What the hell is it going to take? Or are humans just not capable? Are people in these times just so low down that they aren't capable of having respect, of not blaming the victim? I mean, it's possible. It's possible that there's enough of that mentality out there that it is just going to be a fight for us for the rest of our life. Knocking down assholes, whatever whatever sort of, they're coming from, and that gets real old. Real old. Well, I just wanted to talk about it for a few minutes. I mean, all adults have a certain amount of trauma. That is part of life, and there's way too much trauma. It's things children are put through that have an impact for the whole person's life. That doesn't mean people should be stigmatized. That doesn't mean people should be left to die. Well, there have always been strong women like me, and I know I'm a strong woman, but it does hurt to be disregarded as a human, and I'm thankful at least a person or two out there probably thinks of me as a person.